Hello friends, my name is Shayla and today I'm here to do a book review for you. Today's book review is going to be of Duskfall by Christopher Husberg. This is a dark fantasy novel in which we follow three main characters, the first being Nott. Nott, in the beginning of this story, is found in the middle of the sea, arrows shot all through him, and he wakes up with no memory. Our second perspective, Winter, a year later from the beginning of this novel, ends up marrying Nott and being abandoned by him in the same day. Winter is a Talion, which is basically like this elven, almost fae kind of species that has been oppressed by humans for a very, very long time. And the third perspective we follow is Cynthia. Cynthia is a priestess in her religion. She gets wind that her family is being accused of heresy and ends up heading home to figure out what is going on, if there's any truth to these allegations, and things kind of start from there. There is a lot going on in this novel, but the way that Christopher Husberg has written everything, it all lays down beautifully together. So in this novel, essentially, Nott is being hunted by the people from his past. It's very Jason Bourne feeling, and he clearly can defend himself very quickly, very early on in this story. The other thing about Nott that isn't so noticeable from the outside in his perspective is that he actually craves the kill, and he doesn't understand why. That is a big part of Nott's character, and it plays out throughout the story. With Winter, she is a Talion woman who ends up having the power and the magic in this land. There are basically three different kinds of magic. One is essentially described as like the Jedi power to move everything, like almost a, I think it's called telekinesis kind of a situation. The second is like Jedi mind tricks, where they can go and dig through your mind. And they didn't really get into the third one, but the third one is pretty spoilery, so I'm not even going to dig into that. For some people to access this magic, they actually have to take a powder substance. So there is a whole talk on drugs and drug culture and drug issues as well in this novel. One of my favorite storylines, though, was the religious one. The religious one, I found it very intriguing because you're not only getting the politics of the regular world outside in all three of these perspectives, you get the politics of the religion. And sometimes with bigger religions, there are a lot of politics involved. And I found it all to be very interesting, very intriguing, and it kept my attention. When it comes to this, I feel like the perspective I liked the most reading from was actually probably Winter's, surprisingly. Reading about the almost drug culture kind of references, as well as the oppression of her people, was really an interesting storyline to me. Seconds to that would be Cynthia's, and Cynthia's, it ends up that her sister, in the religion's eyes, is committing heresy. Through all of this, Cynthia ends up suffering like this existential crisis of faith, and it's a really interesting storyline to read from. And I do enjoy Nott's perspective enough that he befriends a companion along the way as he's running away from his captors before he meets up with the whole party. And it's about halfway through the novel when all of these storylines kind of converge, and then you just get the multiple POVs, but they're all kind of working together at that point. I loved this novel. I really enjoyed my read of this. I found Husberg's writing to really be captivating. This book, though I took my time with it, whenever I was in the story, I was always sad when I needed to put it down. And I really just had a great time with this. I'd been reading a lot of disappointing fantasy recently, and I was disappointed by a lot of things I had read. And then I picked up this one on a whim. I saw it at the bookstore. It was a signed copy, and I read the description on the back, and it had me captivated. So I really enjoy this. You can definitely tell it was inspired by Jason Bourne in a lot of ways, and that was all right by me. I never was bothered by the Jason Bourne novels. I always really enjoyed them. So it was really fun to get kind of a dark fantasy twist on a Jason Bourne story, as well as the other plot lines. Each plot line had amazing things going on within it. This felt a lot more like a Sanderson novel where it was very layered and you had a lot going on in the start, but it all converges together and all makes complete sense, and it's totally genius. Those are the kind of feelings I got in this novel. I did end up giving it 4.5 stars. The way I've continued to talk about it, the way that I've continued to think about it, there's a good chance I will bump this up to 5 stars. I really think more people need to give this book a try. This came out 2 years ago, and this was his debut, and I was thoroughly impressed. It did give me those kind of Sanderson vibes, along with the Jason Bourne, but like the religion politics and the world politics were really interesting. I'm excited to see more of this world. He's got the first 3 books in this series out, so I do plan on continuing and reviewing all of them as I go along. I have already got the second one on my shelves finally, but I will be continuing on shortly. But you guys, I really highly suggest you all pick up Duskfall. I want to keep this very spoiler free, so I'm not really going to tell you much more. I've told you about the main characters and all sorts of other things, but I want to leave lots of surprises for you in this. I'm glad I went in as blind as I did to everything. I was able to really enjoy this book for what it was. I really highly, 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 highly recommend you pick it up. And not just because I found out while reading this book that this author is actually a local author. That has nothing to do with this, and it is published by Titan Books. It's not a self-publish. I was very impressed. I really enjoyed this read, and I highly suggest y'all go pick it up. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read this book or if you're thinking about reading it, because I would love to talk about this book with people. I'm stumbling over my words a little bit because I've been so excited to do this review and talk to you guys about this. Please go pick this up. If you're new here, hi, I'm Shay. Welcome. Please hit that subscribe button and hang out with me in the comments. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.